So I've been more or less been waiting for time to pass. I will be speaking softly because it is 2:06 in the morning. 2:06 in the morning. And last time I slept was last time I the last time I slept was Wednesday night. Wednesday night. So I've been awake all of Thursday night, all Friday night. Did I fall asleep on Wednesday? I don't know. This feels like the third night in a row that I've been awake. Friday night, now it's Saturday. I genuinely could not tell you. Time has gotten a bit weird. I noticed that I've shaved more this week than I've slept. Like, shaved my face because the hair was getting long. If that's anything to go by. But I don't know. Like, one of the main issues with this is that first time it happened this week where I just like had an involuntary all nighter. It's like, okay, this is kind of cool. I'll get to wake up early and be super productive. And I did. And that one was kind of like the most energetic of the bunch. Cause I was like, well, something weird is happening. I might as well just say fuck it, go along with it. It was kind of fun. I did eventually fall asleep. And then I went to judo that next day. Performed like absolute shit. Um, I was at judo twice this week, Tuesday and Wednesday. Yeah, something I'm gonna be putting in an order for some blood work soon. I've got some theories. I've had some theories for a long while, but I've never really had the justification to order blood work until now, because now this is like who knows, like the particular things that I'm thinking of that might be going awry, you might say, may have nothing to do with like a temporary bout of insomnia. But I've had other issues that I know I need to look into on the blood work side of things. So why not just test them all? right? It'll be expensive, but that's like something that I'd actually want to spend money on. Oh, I was getting to a point earlier. I was trying to make a point earlier. Where it was like the first time I had a wakeful stint, it was fun. The second time it was strange. Second time I had some moments where I was like tweaking and shit. Like, what the fuck is going on? Ironically, I was having some mild hallucinations on the first one, the one that I was totally unconcerned about. Because I remember, I'm like, sleep deprivation causes hallucinations. And thing is they usually don't get it after a singular night of being awake. I feel like I'm just staying awake longer and longer and longer each time. But it was the first time that I had the most side effects. Like the hallucinations where I was just sitting in the bathroom, it lasted like 3 minutes. You know, just seeing things moving. Nothing crazy. Mm. Second time, just didn't feel good at all. Now I feel like I'm on a baseline. This is at least the third day that I've been awake. So, it's definitely longer than all the other ones, and the other ones seem to have a lot more negative side effects. I might be adapting to it, which is a bad thing, considering I don't want to be adapted to sleep deprivation. My brain is still wired off of something, but I can't fall asleep. My exercise has gone to shit. And as we're demonstrating now, so has my ability to process words coherently. There's a disconnect between a delay between the mind processes and bodily functions. I could probably talk a lot quicker if I wanted to. It feels like the fatigue isn't in trying to form the sentences in my head because they're already formed. It's as though my brain is like literally sitting on them for half a second, doing a rest pause at the end of each rep to get its strength back. Before actually outputting what I'm trying to say here. I had the worst workout of probably my life on Wednesday. I was talking to my coach earlier, the one that manages the whole thing, the one that speaks English, and I told him about my situation. I was like, I'm kind of apprehensive about it. I know you guys say I shouldn't be training. I'm not getting proper sleep, and I know that it won't benefit me physically. But hypothetically, right, if I go there and I wear myself out, well, maybe I'll fall asleep easier. The problem being is that I know I slept Monday night and I went to judo on Tuesday. That was the beach day. We're doing exercises on the beach. And I did not sleep that night. And that's when I told my judo instructor about it, because I was thinking about going to the Wednesday class, which I did go to. And he said, well, if it didn't work on Tuesday, it probably won't work this time around. You know what I'm saying? So, but basically, like, not many people show up. I wanted to just try to power through it. And not only do I don't remember, I can't remember if I slept at any point past Wednesday till now. I think I did, but I can't remember. Point I was trying to make prior to that one was that Wednesday was the worst exercise ever. I got there, sleep deprived. I got a ride from somebody else because I can't drive. Can't drive while sleep deprived. Because, like I'm saying, as you can observe, there's a significant and growing delay between what I am thinking and what I'm able to say. My brain is moving significantly faster than the parts of my body that are used to articulate it. Same thing goes with the organs of the body that are used to augment, update, and give information to the brain, right? The eyes, the ears, sensory tactile inputs. Not getting very much of it. It's slow. Sometimes I'll forget to hear. My vision becomes blurry frequently. And I'll just kind of not like lose feeling in a limb, but like forget about the feeling in the limb. Like there will be something pressed against a limb, and I'll completely forget that it's there. Like it's a loss. It's like it's not a loss of the sensory input, it's just that I'm forgetting it. And then once I look at it, or I pay deliberate attention to it, then it comes back immediately. But again, I'm digressing. Holy moly. I got to judo class. I was dying in the warm up. 5 minutes in, I was drenched in sweat. I mean, I pushed through it. But then we got to this circuit out. Circuit out. Fuck. What the fuck? This circuit exercise where you just set up different exercises in a circle and you go around it, do a set of reps in each, just keep going around the circle. I made it maybe 2 rounds around the circle. And one of the exercises was clean and jerk, if you know what that is. Where you pick up the bar, sort of like a deadlift, and you pull the motion upwards. You thrust the bar up with your thighs, whip it up, and you catch the bar sort of on the front of your shoulders. And it was a really, really lightweight. Like, you didn't even need to use the legs for acceleration. But one of the... Sorry, I should not be snorting into the microphone. That... You got to at least, spread your feet apart, right? It's part of getting under the bar. So I was doing these lightweight repetitions, and I could not get my feet off the ground. Something about the motion would not comply. And the further I got into the exercise, the more this started to happen. Until I was like, you know what? I can't be doing this shit because it felt like my muscles would not be engaged unless I was deliberately thinking about them. Which is a problem because no matter how many muscles that I know about, there is always more. And it felt like none of the support, the stabilizer muscles in any of my movements were active. And I would lift my shoulders above my head, and it would be this grinding and crackling, and it was kind of freaky. This is gonna be I gotta add in this morbid detail because I actually buried the dog of that judo instructor guy because I was doing some work for him on his property when his elderly dog happened to die. And I noticed something about dead animals is that when you pick them up, none of their muscles or ligaments, of course, have any incentive to tense in a way that would brace or stabilize. And in this situation, it was very heartbreaking because such a nice elderly dog I had grown very fond of. And I just, I picked him up and I had to transport him to the hole that I dug. And this was completely voluntary on my part. I didn't have to bury the dog, but I felt like it was something nice to do for them. Some people are very squeamish about the whole process, but it was very sad because I picked him up to go take him to the hole, and like I could hear that same sort of like tendon shifting, like bones grinding where they're not supposed to. Just that feeling of a lifeless corpse. Carrying a lifeless corpse. And it's just falling apart under its own weight because it's not supporting itself anymore. And I mean, if that's not a testament to how fragile we are, then like I don't know what is. And I mean, it was just the very memory of that experience with burying the dog that I thought about when I was like doing these motions, and I was feeling that same sort of thing, and I was like, I gotta fucking stop. Like, this is not conducive to health. And moreover, we do these stretches at the end of the exercise, and I was like, because I had sat out maybe like 45 minutes in, and I helped out in the training where I could, but once we got to the end of it, we were doing the stretching, and I was like, stretching would be good, right? Hypothetically. But we start out with neck stretches because, right, you're getting thrown around. It's very important to have your neck strong, stable, and of course not tense. And I pull my head to the side, right? Like doing this stretch. Very simple. And something literally fucking popped in my neck, like out of place. It was so disturbing. And then I like stood there and I was like, oh shit. And then the second I tried to move my head back into place, it did it again, like twice. I've never been one of those people that can like crack their neck. I've never had anything pop in my neck before. So that was shit. And when we were running, I completely lost all respiratory function. I was like literally panting. Like typically I could do that breathing through my nose for at least 80% of the time. But this time around it was not even feasible to try and do that. So I also have a dentist appointment coming up really soon because one of my fillings that they did fell out, so I have to go get that replaced. But we were going through the exercises and I was like panting in and out, right? There had just been nothing but my mouth and throat had been completely dry for like at least 20 to 30 minutes. And it felt like my mouth was bleeding. And I brought up the filling thing because if you have like exposed dentin in your teeth, that's the stuff under the enamel, you know, the hard part. That didn't show up on the microphone. Underneath the hard part, there's the dentin. If there's any of that exposed to air for too long, or Streptococcus mutans, which is the sexually transmitted virus that gives you cavities. Well, first of all, it creates odor. But what it was doing to me is that this exposed filling, I felt like I was bleeding from it. And all of a sudden, like, on top of all that, my teeth felt loose. And just all the amount of, like, it felt like I had zero muscle memory. I do a lot of things by muscle memory. But even for basic functions, seemingly basic functions like running, it seemed as though I had none of it left at all. So I'd be like stepping on the wrong part of my foot while running. And that was creating like some sort of tendon strain in my foot, and I had to like consciously correct it on every single step, and it was miserable. And after the point where I had sat out, like every time I would get up to stand up, I would feel like I had done cardio. It was just such a bad exercise all across the board. I like pushing myself to my limits in exercise, but I do not like finding voice crack. I do not like finding limits that shouldn't be there anymore. Right? Like limits that should have gone away at the age of 5. Like lifting your arm laterally. Or there was this other stretch where, you know, where you put your elbow up and you grab your elbow and pull it back and sort of twist to the side. Couldn't fucking do it. Because it felt like all my entire shoulder girdle was just a bunch of loose ball joints and sway bars and right, you know the front suspension of a car because there's the steering in there. It's got to have a more complicated dealio up there. It felt like that. Like, have you ever seen a car with um the coilovers taken out of it? Like the front suspension assembly with the coilovers taken out of it? That's what my arm felt like. And moreover, it felt like instead of like strong ball joints holding it all together, it was just a bunch of bobby pins. So it sketched me out a bit. I do not. I'm at a loss for good words about the situation. I mean, I've been literally talking about it all week, trying to figure it out. I mean, in trying to figure it out through like just purely speech, through dialogues, through chattering away. But that doesn't work, apparently. We'll see. I mean, why did I say that it doesn't work? It might work eventually. That's why I'm doing it. In terms of trying to figure it out through other methods, of course, I'm gonna get blood work done to look for signs and symptoms of things that I do not want to find. Depending on what comes back in the blood work, it could be like the most terrifying or the most relieving thing ever. Because I've been avoiding blood work for long time because I knew that there was an issue in at least a few of the metrics. I just wasn't sure by how much or the severity or the cause. But there are hypotheses for what could come back, and it's not fun to think about. I mean, I'll say it. I think I know at least a handful of things it could be. None of them are good, but some of them are significantly worse than others in outcome. So that's just a hurdle that I need to jump. in that direction. The worst part is that the ones that are the likely markers that would indicate something that is actually incredibly detrimental, like more so detrimental than the other options for health. The options, the other hypotheses. I need to start that whole sentence over again. God damn. Crazy thing is that the hypotheses that are that would be indicated by markers to be of more severity are not the ones that I'm the most concerned about. I mean, like ones that would shorten your lifespan. So, yeah, god damn it, don't you hate it when you actually have to acknowledge things in life? I sure do. It sucks. I don't like acknowledging things. I'm not a fucking loser. I don't look at my problems and then try to solve them. I ignore them. I am a real man. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh. Oh, phew. I thought I had missed a call from a buddy because I was talking to him. Because it's late. He gets off work late, but apparently he can't call. So that's actually good news because he texted me like 40 minutes, like right when I started recording. That's fair enough. Shout out my boy Epic. Yes, that is actually what he went by on the internet when I met him. Epic. I thought it was kind of cringe at first, but I dig it. You know what I'm saying? It's like how Mexicans will be named Jesus, Jesus, or Puerto Ricans will be named Angel. It's like the most common thing ever. And at first you're like, yeah, I don't know about that. But then you think about it and you're like, no, you know what? That's kind of fucking neat. I really wish my great grandfather had. I wish his last name made it down to me because King. What a fucking badass last name. I don't know, there's Stephen King and he's like a strange individual, but imagine having King as your last name. Like in any of those places where people refer to you by your last name. They call out, King? And then you're like, I have arrived. Bow to me, peasant. I've actually considered taking that as my last name. Because all the cool motherfuckers in my family tree are in that particular lineage. Like my great great grandfather on that side, he left behind war diaries from, I think, World War II. And he was on one of the more famous warships that went down. And my grandma told me that they had a piece of it because it got blown up. And he just took a chunk of it as a souvenir, as well as like a capuchin monkey from somewhere. His his diaries were pretty neat. Now, I can't just look up a list of ships in World War II. Oh, decorated. Is that the term for ones that won in, yeah, battle stars? Enterprise, San Diego, San Francisco. Carolina. That one sounds familiar. Carolina. Decorated that went down. Let's narrow it down a bit more. Bannon Tang. I wish I knew what it was. I could ask my grandma. Because all she'd have to do is like literally go down and get his war journal. Mm-hmm. I keep seeing the Battle of Midway pop up. That sounds like so familiar. Battle of Midway. The only place I've ever heard of any World War II naval combat is from my great grandfather's diaries from the time. Ships lost. I'm just Googling stuff while talking into the microphone. Well, it wasn't the Yorktown because it wasn't an aircraft carrier. I believe it was a destroyer. So strange. I don't know why I'm obsessing over this. Oh yeah, last names King. Funny enough, one of my great uncle discovered like a decade ago that he had a son that he didn't know about. And this son is like 30 years old. So they reconnected through like one of those, dude, I don't even fucking know how, but do you know what his name was? Stephen. Stephen King. Incredible. Well, I mean, I don't know if he actually had the King last name since he didn't even know that the kid existed. It's unlikely, but you know, Stephen and King. Haha, funny. But that'd be another one of those names. And now I'm just thinking about etymology, right? Because Tyrannosaurus Rex in Latin literally means, oh my god, did I seriously just forget it? Like I thought it over in my head several times. The Tyrant King. Rex. Rex was like in Latin a derogatory term for king, I believe. Because they did not believe in kings. They believed in democracies with a corrupt senate and a dictatorial consul. So they got the worst of all worlds in a certain sense, but I mean it worked for how long? At least, I mean it's debatable on when the Roman Empire ended. I mean at least like 600 years. At least. At least. That's a very controversial statement based upon the most strict guidelines of all opinions taken into account. I mean, all roads really do lead back to Rome. If you talk long enough, you'll eventually talk about Rome. Which, by the way, if you ever got 128 hours to kill, read The History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire by Edward Gibbon. And I say 128 hours because that's what the audiobook length is at. If you go up and pick up a physical copy, it'll probably take you longer. But man, is that you hate it for like the first 2 volumes, like the first 1,000 pages worth of content. You're just like, this is so boring. And then by the second thousandth page, you're like, man, real life lore is so cool. I want to learn more about this. I cannot believe there's so much real life lore to learn. And like not even just like stuff that be like a fandom or a fantasy. No, this is shit that actually took place. Depending on who you ask. And I think that's neat. And then by the 3000th page, you're like, damn, I wanted more information. Because this set of books was actually published in the 1700s, I believe. And like late 1700s, mid to late 1700s. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I can never remember if it was Gibbon or Marx, because they wrote at roughly, right? I'm giving myself a leniency of like 100 years here. The same time. And I know for a fact that one of them had a section talking about America as a young empire and that it would probably fail and Britain would just take over again. I mean, if it was Gibbon or Marx that wrote that, I don't know, but I would laugh at them both either way. Just the way that things played out. One thing is for certain. They did not anticipate the future. They did not see the place that we're at now. Rough. Just in general, my mouth has been really dry lately. Terrible for your teeth. I'm like spending so much time with my mouth consciously closed and like allowing saliva to occupy the real estate where my teeth is. Because if I don't, they'll just start rotting out. I think that has something to do with the lack of sleep. That's for sure. Like there's certain regenerative processes mainly take place when you're asleep. And I'm noticing that I'm kind of having symptoms across the board of not really being able to repair. I think mainly due to the lack of sleep. Like I've got different scrapes and whatnot that just are refusing to heal. My throat got really sore when I started talking on this, and I'm talking in a very low voice. I mean, it also might be because I am talking in a low voice, because the low voice that I uses more of like my falsetto baritone attempt at a narrator speaker type of thing, so it's more gravelly. It's like kind of grinding, so that might just be it. And when I speak louder, I can actually use more natural tones. Like, this is an interesting fact. I hardly even have an Adam's apple. Tiny. Look at that thing. I have to go to an effort to make it poke out. Point being, the larynx isn't very well developed. Don't know why. Do not know why. Because I know I had hormone issues in my early years, but problem is if those persist into adulthood, then you end up with certain things that don't ever fully develop, like the larynx, for one. Which only concerns me because women that become trans men, they take testosterone and they'll actually get an Adam's apple. Yeah, um there's a lot there to catastrophize about, but I'm very intentionally omitting a large portion of the details because there's a lot of them until after I get the blood work done. And then based on the blood work, whatever subsequent testing that I would need to get done after that to either confirm or deny conditions. So, I don't want to be too hasty about asserting anything before I can. Because then you might just turn into if you do too much of your own Wikipedia diagnoses, you can just turn into a hypochondriac if you're not careful. Just end up with the permanent psychosomatic symptoms of your anxieties. I just create a nasty feedback loop. So, there's a little bit of anxieties surrounding that, but I should be able to dispense of them with the proper types of testing. Yes. There's a fairly high chance that nothing will come back too bad. But it's also a pretty high chance that that will not be the case. And just that ambiguity, the possibility of that ambiguity can cause me just a little bit of anxiety about certain things. Not debilitating by any means. But just like when you're forced to think about health, it's like one of those things that always pops up in your mind. And if you could just resolve it and get rid of it or just understand it, it would stop popping up. Because like every single time I encounter a new physical problem, I immediately think to myself, what if it's related to this mystery that you can't solve? Why don't you think about that some more? Cringe. Rather not. But I'll get the blood work so then you can shut up. It's damn expensive too for all the tests that I would need to do. Oh my gosh. Because I went into the laboratory today and I was like, yo, can I get a quote on what it would cost to get all of these tested? And I just handed them my phone with my notepad open with all of the factors that I need tested to exclude or further pursue certain lines of inquiry. And that process, the lady was just sitting there drafting up a quote for like 15 minutes. I mean, it was fine because nobody else was there. It was dead as hell. So, my voice is beginning to hurt. What if I experiment with different tonal pitches? I think it's this one right here. This one right here. It is this tone right here that is the more comfortable pitch, but I suspect that there are more likely to be voice cracks because I have not practiced in my natural speaking tone and I lost it. Fuck. Okay. Yeah, my throat's actually going to start really hurting soon if I don't shut the fuck up. And I've been recording for an hour and 4 minutes. Yeah, I mean, I killed another hour. 3 more till sunrise. I think I mentioned this in the previous videos, but the current like energy level thing that I was talking about, like the inability to fall asleep has been actually like I've been jacked up on caffeine constantly. And it's very, very irritating. So, I know all the breathing exercises, the meditations, the whatnot, and I try them. for an hour or two, but it does not seem to be working, which is only concerning because they did a week ago. Now I'm sitting here awake for 3 days, feeling like it is a 4 p.m. on a Tuesday. Like it's just your average Joe 4 p.m. That's where my brain is at. It's not a time of day I particularly like, but it's not a time of day that I'm particularly impaired. I've just usually run out of things to do by then. It's like my purgatory hour. It's right in between judo and finishing up work. So it's like if you were going to imagine that you were going to go on a date at 5 p.m., right? Like imagine you have a date set up at 5 p.m. and it is 4 p.m. and you have nothing else to do but prepare, and you think it's a great idea that you should chug a big cup of coffee at 4 p.m. And then you're sitting there thinking about your date. Most people are going to get a little bit of anxiety from it, at least if they're. Some of us are good at ignoring it, but it still gives you just like that little alertness. All right, now pair that with a big cup of coffee. 4 p.m. About to go on a date. That's what I felt like for a week. Yes, I'm testing for cortisol. Thank you for asking. Okay, bye.